Okay, so people, this week I checked out a new indie called Flag Day, right? And what intrigued me, I remember when when this got sent through, right? I saw it's a film directed by Sean Penn, and Penn is one of them dudes that he's been in so many weighty films, right? He's acted and just given us these great performances, and he's directed stuff, which has been interesting. But it's like, what I mean, how is this one gonna be, right? When you look at all the things he's done, okay, how will this compare? But then the time I got round to watching it, I will say I forgot it was, directed by Sean Penn. So what you watch it and it's just like, oh god damn, this is this is a heavy film. And then you realize, oh yeah, it's Sean Penn. Of course, right? Of course it is. You know what I mean? It all makes sense, right? It all makes sense. And yeah, it's very interesting. It's an interesting film, right? So Penn directs. It is written by Jez and John-Henry Butterworth. It is produced by William Horberg, John Click, and Fernando Solchin. Executive produced by Maximilian Averales, Laurent Kopolkin, Phyllis Lang, uh, Devon Towers, Forston Schumacher, Vincent Marvel, Sidney Kimmel, Alan Liu, Peter Touche, Christelle Corin, Vasily Mystery, and John Wildermuth. The director of photography is Danny Muda. Production design was Craig Sandels. It's edited by Vadilis Uscar and Michel Tissero. Music is handled by Joseph Vitelli. We've got the music supervisor is Tracy McKnight. We have original songs from Cat Power, Glenn Hansard, and Eddie Vader. Costume design is Patty Henderson. All right. Then our cast. Man, our cast. So, Sean Penn, he plays John Vogel, right? The father of Jennifer Vogel, right? Who now we get a few iterations of Jennifer. So as a 6-year-old, she is played by Addison Tymock. Um, as 11 to 13-year-old, she's played by Jaden Riley. And as an adult, she is played by none other than Sean's actual daughter, Dylan Penn. Um, yeah, John also has a son, Nick. So 4-year-old Nick is played by Cole Flynn. 9 to 11-year-old Nick is played by Beckham Crawford. And like with the older Jennifer, the older Nick is played by Sean's actual son, Hopper Penn. His wife is oh gosh, who played his wife again? God damn it. His wife is played by oh fucking hell. I had that information. Ah, Patty Vogel is played by Catherine Winnick, right? And yeah, that doesn't last. And his girlfriend later on in the film is Betty. Betty? Yeah, I think Betty is correct. Debbie, even. It's Debbie. And she's played by Bailey Noble. They've got an uncle, the kids have got an Uncle Beck, who is played by Josh Brolin. Hmm, yeah, that's our main kind of crew. Yeah, there is a U.S. Marshal Blake, who is played none other by Regina King, who, man, I was looking, I was thinking, a bit like Brolin. I was like, oh, who the hell? I recognize them. Who is that person? Damn. Their grandma Margaret is played by Dale Dickey. Yeah, yeah. As I said, I think there there are a lot of the main people. There's the Dr. Halstead, who's played by Nigel Fisher. He's the university admissions person who we see Jennifer speak with. Eddie Marson is Mr. Emmanuel in the film. But yeah, the gist of it, right, is Jennifer Vogel's father, John, was larger than life. As a child, Jennifer marveled at his magnetizing energy and ability to make life feel like a grand adventure. He taught her so much about love and joy. Oh my goodness. Sorry, peoples. Allergies. But he also happened to be one of the most notorious counterfeiter in US history. Yeah. that's the crazy thing, you know. And all of this is actually based on a book, right? An autobiography that Jennifer Vogel actually wrote, right? Which is called Flim-Flam Man, A True Family History. And I think, that makes a lot of sense, right? Flim-Flam Man. And Flag Day, you do kind of wonder the relevance, but I think the big thing about Flag Day is we see that as a part of the film, right? Big parades, and John driving a car with the kids in the back and everyone waving, going down a procession. And he always celebrated, Flag Day, made it a big, as I said, it's always about adventure. And he made that a big part of it, like party, joyful, happiness. Right. So in that respect, you then realize, oh, actually, yeah, Flag Day isn't a bad name, right? It kind of sums it up. And what really does, I think, sum up everything is something that's said at the end of the film, right? So Jennifer kind of narrates over the closing scenes, and she's like, her dad was always on the search for true freedom, right? True freedom and happiness. And in essence, he was kind of freer than a lot of free people, you know? And then in the end, he kind of truly became free, which, I mean, that's all a little dark. But in him becoming free, it set her free, which you'd be like, oh shit. Yeah, that really does make so much sense in what we see everything that happens. So the film starts off with Jennifer sitting there and being told, right, handed over, this money and being told, yeah, your dad, like, we found these notes in the car, right? He's been counterfeiting. He's been passing this money around. And they say a sum. She's like, that much? She's like, oh, he was sitting on more, right? That's just what went into local society. He's been sitting on so much more. And you're like, oh shit. So we have this realization of everything, and you just see I think the strain, right? We see the strain on Jennifer. And then, we jump back in time. We jump back in time and we see the kids and everything like that. And, it's just that talk of, yeah, this was like what life was, and dad was always the fun person, but getting into trouble, getting into debt, right? It's talking about how he bought a farm, but he didn't really have the money to do it up. So it's all on, favors, goodwill, and loans. But what happens when those run out? So he was disappearing, right? Because it's just like, I got debts, I can't be around, so I'm going. So then you just saw the mum, right, have to kind of pick things up. And it's like when you've got that fun parent, and then you've got that parent who's a bit more, look, you got to do your homework, you got to do this, right? So that was Paddy. But with that, it's just like there's other shit, right? We saw this other shit. So you saw the kids having fun, these adventures, but then you saw like the darker side of things. So eventually, Patty leaves, gets married, but the new dude, we see some shit go down, right? We see some shit go down, which pushes Jennifer out on her own. And it's like, I mean, there's a scene that you see, and from that scene, you'd be like, oh no. Oh, there's some shit here that is not good. That is not good. And you're just like, how long though? Right? Is it just about to, or has it been going down? Like, what's the thing? And you're just filled with dread. It's just that cloying thought of the horrendous things that must be happening here, right? And there's a lot of that in this film, right? You see these happy moments, but you also see these horrible situations, right? These predicaments, these things that you're just like, oh, this is not a good road, man. This is not a good road, you know? And the like the thing that happens, we see it kind of go down, but then it's, how's the mum gonna cope with this, right? And I think we've seen it countless times, right? The mum's in denial, trying to protect her feel of happiness, right? But doing that, you then ostracize yourself. And so Jennifer's out on her own, and we see her do these things, but eventually she finds her way back to John. And I think what we see, right? So I think in this film, right, in the whole conversation, in the press notes, right, in the talking about it all, right, they Sean Penn says the bonds of love can be present. They can be extraordinarily strong and real and totally corrupt at the same time. And I think we definitely see that. We definitely see that in this film. That it's it's this story of the search for happiness, right? The search for acceptance, and trying to find that love, right? Because as you get older, and another thing, right? Because they say that there's something in this film that you will watch and people can relate to, even though you might not have been in so many dark places, but there's dysfunction in everyone's situation, right? And yeah, right. Even though you get older and you realize, oh, that's why my dad was disappearing, right? That's why this, right? That's why that. And those things, that realization, but you want to think that he did love me though, right? You know what I mean? He was skipping out. He was doing these things. He was getting into trouble. But it wasn't to get away from me, right? It wasn't to get away from me and my brother. Like, he loved us, right? Surely that's the thing. And you see that hunt, right? That hunt for that acceptance. Because, when she goes, like, there's conversations that they have. It's just like, listen, I'm going to tell you all the things that have happened in my life. They're not great. I understand, right? I was a little reckless in some of the things I'm doing, but I want to be better. So I've told you mine. Now, please be honest with me. Tell me your shit. Right? So there's these frank conversations where you think, oh man, that's pretty brave, right? But also you think, man, I understand, because you want to get someone who could be like, I've done all these things. I want to tell that stuff. But unless you're being open, how can you ever fix it? So, you think, all right, I get it. I understand this. But it's like, can it all be truthful? Right? Can it all be truthful? And that's what we see in Flag Day, right? This search for redemption, because even though John is a bit of a scumbag, man, he's a I don't know, he's a scallywag, right? He really is. But you definitely see that he does love his kids, you know? We definitely see that. But there's something in him, that hunt for the American dream, that belief that, hey, I'm not getting a fair shake, right? I should get this. I should have this. Not quite allowing yourself to be happy with the things you have. Because, he had a wife, he had 2 kids, he has a job, but it's just like, that's not enough. I should have more, right? I want to live in this place. I want to do this. I want to do that. The only way you can do that is by, if you're not going to try and change your situation in one way, it's crime, right? So we see him trying to be straight, but that law of, I want this, right? The only way to do this is by doing crime. So when we see him doing that, but we see him try to impress Jennifer, right? Try and be like, I can give you more. I can do this for you. I can do that for you. And we see all of this. And you do believe the sincerity of these moments. But I mean, it doesn't last, right? It doesn't last. And I think in these portrayals of these characters, we get some great performances. Listen, there is that nepotism that we see in Hollywood, having family members in roles. And sometimes you'd be like, were they really the best person for that? You know, I feel we could have got someone better. And listen, there are many fantastic actresses who I'm sure would have done a great job with Jennifer, but Dylan does do a fantastic job, right? You don't watch it and be like, it didn't really hit this, or the portrayal of these emotions aren't really done that well. No, Dylan does an incredible job of conveying this hurt, right? This pain, this desire for more. This hunt to better herself, right? And even in the moments where she's being reckless, right? You do kind of see that, yeah, I know this isn't good, right? Yeah, I'm pretending I'm having a good time, but I'm not really having a good time, right? And we see all of that is handled very well. The way Penn shoots it, right, using darkness and shadow, and just the way the light is on people and all of that, it's done very well. It really is. Like, it's not one of those films that I think you're gonna have on rotation, because it is kind of miserable, right? And miserable in the respect of, the only way out of this story, right? These stories never end well, never end well, right? And you see that destructiveness. And yeah, I think if you've experienced any modicum of that in your life, it does bring it back, right? But it is a very well put together film. We don't really get much of Nick as the film goes on, right? And you do wonder about Nick, because also we don't really see, is Jennifer keeping in contact with him? What's that situation, right? So I think there is things you think, it'd be good to see more of Nick, right? It'd be good to see how this unfolds, how this transpires, what that situation is. But what we do get, it is very compelling. It is very heart wrenching. And as I said, look, it's a heavy fucking film, people. It really is. But yeah, you can see it in the cinema or on your favorite VOD, right? Yeah, because on a Flag Day, it is out. It drops on the 28th, right? So yeah, people, 28th of January. Check out Flag Day. I think if you like these kind of, it's like it's that film. It had Tom Cruise in it. Born on the 4th of July. Was it Born on the 4th of July? I think I butchered that name, but you know what I mean. It's one of those type of films. It's just like, it's not essentially happy, but it has these messages in it. It has this thing in it, right? Which you just be like, oh yeah, I understand that. I relate to that. I can see the hurt. I can see the pain, right? I can see the quest for more. That's what Flag Day is, people. So, if you like Sean Penn and you like those sort of stories, then, you will go for that, but you will stay for some of these magnificent performances, and songs, right? It's the songs that are in, they do kind of are there to show the mood of a scene, but it also fits the tone of this time period. They definitely do that. So it's not just a mood. Like, feel sad now. This is a sad mood. No, no, no. It is. This is the theme for this portion of this film, right? This portion is dark, or this portion is happier, right? And the songs do a good job of doing that. So yeah, no, I was fine with it. It works. It works, people. So yeah, Flag Day, cinema or at home, but it is. I'd say it's worth watching.